Welcome to Sleepy Science, a calm corner of the cosmos where wonder drifts as softly as starlight. Tonight's journey takes us into the eye of the James Webb Space Telescope, a golden mirror adrift in the dark, searching for the faintest lights at the edge of time. And the question we ask is simple. Has it finally seen the one thing we've been waiting for? Before we begin, I would love to know where you are listening from. It is always humbling to imagine these quiet stories reaching so many corners of the world, all connected under the same sky. If you enjoy these explorations, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And to those already here, thank you. You are helping this constellation of listeners grow. I hope this story soothes you toward rest. Though fair warning, discoveries at the edge of the universe may be too captivating to sleep through. If you do find yourself listening until the end, at least you will have learned something beautiful about how far our eyes can reach. So let us begin with a quiet question to carry. When we look farther than ever before, are we seeing the universe's past or glimpses of its future? Close your eyes. Imagine a place where silence is absolute. No winds blow, no oceans stir, no voices rise. Only the void stretches outward, black and immeasurable, scattered with distant stars. In this quiet, something delicate is unfolding, a work of patience, a bloom not of nature but of human hands. The James Webb Space Telescope, drifting far from Earth, opens its golden mirrors like petals in the dark. There is no sound. Metal hinges slide, motors hum, panels extend, but in the vacuum of space, no ear will ever hear them. All that exists is motion, a choreography measured in microns, a dance rehearsed for decades. Piece by piece, the telescope becomes itself. Sunshield stretched, arms released, segments rotated. Each step is slow, deliberate, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. You picture the mirrors, hexagonal, shimmering, coated in gold, so thin it could be pressed through a soap bubble. 18 pieces, each perfect in its geometry, coming together to form a single eye. The eye does not blink. It does not hurry. It waits to gather light that has traveled for billions of years. Light from galaxies born when the universe was young. Light older than Earth itself. This is no ordinary unfolding. It is a flower designed to catch time. Breathe gently. Inhale the image of those petals stretching outward. Exhale the stillness of space that receives them. Notice how calm it feels to imagine technology moving not with clamor but with grace. Here, engineering is not a machine but a meditation. Here, science is not loud but reverent. The telescope's journey is more than mechanics. It is trust. Each mirror segment was folded and carried into orbit atop a rocket. During launch, it shook with violence, buffeted by flame and acceleration. But now, in space, it moves with gentleness. The contrast is striking. From the thunder of liftoff to the silence of bloom, you realize that even in science, creation often begins with chaos and resolves into calm. Picture yourself floating nearby, watching as the golden petals align. Around you is darkness, but it is not empty. Stars scatter like frost across an endless window pane. Nebulas glow faintly in hues of violet and blue. The Milky Way arches like a river of light, and in the center of this expanse, a human-made flower is blooming, slow and deliberate, preparing to see what has never been seen. This unfolding is not just about mirrors. It is about memory. The James Webb Space Telescope carries with it the hopes of countless people, engineers, scientists, dreamers, children who once looked at the stars and wondered. It is the continuation of a lineage, the Galileo, who first tilted glass skyward, the Hubble telescope that revealed galaxies in fields of darkness. Now Webb opens further, deeper, quieter. It is not the first mirror, but it may be the most patient. Let yourself imagine what the mirrors will see. A faint galaxy, stretched and dimmed by the expansion of the universe. Light that left its source before our sun was born. Light that has traveled across cosmic deserts, past clouds of dust, around clusters of stars. For billions of years it moved, carrying the story of its beginning. And now, finally, it will meet gold petals, drifting in silence. The mirror unfolds not just to see, but to receive. Take a slow breath. Feel how vast that time scale is. Your inhale may last a few seconds. Your exhale may last a few more. But the light Webb will gather has traveled for billions of years without pause. To hold that thought is to feel time stretch beyond comprehension. And yet, here you are, sharing in it. Part of the moment when that ancient light meets a new eye. There is something profoundly human in this silence. For though the telescope drifts far from Earth, it is also tethered to us. Its signals travel back across space, carrying images, carrying data, carrying glimpses of the cosmos we cannot reach. In its unfolding, we unfold too. Our sense of place stretches outward. Our imagination blooms. We, who live only for decades, now look back billions of years. Pause here. Let yourself feel the humility of that. Not arrogance, not conquest, but humility. For the universe is not changed by our looking. It continues, as it always has, indifferent to our gaze. But in looking, we change. We learn. We soften. We recognize how small and how precious our own place is. The golden mirrors do not alter the stars. They alter us. Now picture the telescope complete, its petals aligned, its instruments cooled, its gaze turned outward. Around it is silence, unbroken. The telescope does not rush to take its first image. It waits, calibrates, adjusts. It is a reminder that seeing clearly requires patience. You, too, must adjust your inner mirrors, align your thoughts, quiet your noise. Only then does clarity arrive. The first images from Webb shocked the world galaxies upon galaxies, scattered like grains of sand across infinity. Each one a possible home, a possible history, a possible future. To look at them is to feel the smallness of your own worries, the fleeting nature of your own days. Yet smallness is not despair, it is relief. You are part of something vast, and the vastness holds you gently. Breathe again, and let that relief settle into your body. Inhale the enormity of space. Exhale the comfort of belonging within it. Notice how calm it feels to accept that you are both tiny and infinite. A moment and a part. They listen to faint whispers of light, stretched thin by time. They collect echoes from the universe's beginning. They remind us that silence is not emptiness, but fullness, too subtle for unprepared senses. To hear the universe, one must become quiet enough, and so you rest in the thought that Webb is not only science, but meditation. It unfolds in silence. It listens in silence. It teaches in silence. What it shows us may be breathtaking, but what it models for us is just as valuable: patience, humility, and wonder. As you linger here, you realize that this opening chapter is not about the telescope alone. It is about you and about us. We, too, are mirrors, unfolding slowly, learning to reflect what is around us. We, too, must align, adjust, wait for clarity. In this sense, the telescope is not separate from us. It is an extension of our curiosity, our longing, our capacity to dream. The universe does not hurry. The telescope does not hurry, and you, too, can rest in that pace. You can let yourself be slow, quiet, deliberate, patient. You can allow wonder to bloom without rushing toward answers. The golden mirrors shimmer now, complete, waiting to catch the first ancient rays. Their unfolding is done, but their listening has just begun. And as you drift with this image, you feel the invitation to continue. What will those mirrors show? What stories will the light reveal? Close your eyes and picture the golden mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope, unfolded now, aligned, and waiting. In Chapter 1, they bloomed like petals in the dark. But to truly understand them, you must remember, Webb does not see as we do. Our eyes are tuned to visible light, the narrow rainbow that paints skies, oceans, forests, and faces. Webb looks elsewhere. Its gaze is fixed on warmth, on the invisible glow of infrared. Think of it this way: the telescope sees not light, but the heat of light. Imagine holding your hand above a stone at night. The sun has long set, but you still feel warmth rising, gentle, invisible. That warmth is infrared radiation, the quiet remainder of energy long after brightness has gone. Webb collects such whispers, faint and ancient, stretched across time until they are no longer visible, only warm. Breathe slowly. Inhale the thought of seeing beyond vision. Exhale the comfort of sensing warmth in cold silence. This is the telescope's gift, not to see what dazzles, but to touch what endures. Infrared is the language of the hidden. Dust clouds that obscure stars in visible light become transparent in infrared. Planets glowing faintly in the chill of space reveal themselves. The most ancient galaxies, their light stretched by billions of years of expansion, now shine not as visible starlight, but as faint warmth, caught delicately by Webb's fingertips of gold. Pause and picture this. You are floating beside the telescope, drifting in the darkness. Around you, stars glitter in visible brilliance. But through Webb's eye, the scene transforms. The stars fade, the dust parts, and behind them appear shapes you could never see. Nurseries where stars are being born. Filaments of galaxies strung like threads. The faint glow of worlds circling distant suns. The universe is not only brighter than you imagined, it is warmer. To see in warmth, the telescope itself must be colder than the coldest night you can picture. Its sunshield, the size of a tennis court, spreads wide, blocking the light and heat of the sun, the earth, the moon. Beneath it, the telescope cools to just a few dozen degrees above absolute zero. Only then can its sensors distinguish the faint warmth of galaxies from the warmth of itself. It is a paradox. To sense warmth, you must become nearly frozen. Reflect on that truth. To perceive subtlety, you must quiet your own noise. To hear a whisper, you must fall silent. To see what is hidden, you must close your ordinary eyes. Webb teaches this not only as science, but as metaphor. You, too, must sometimes grow still and cool to notice what warmth surrounds you. Infrared vision also means Webb is not bound by time in the way we are. Visible light fades with distance. Faint galaxies vanish. But infrared light, stretched across billions of years, arrives still. Webb catches photons that have been traveling since near the beginning of the universe. Light, so old it is warmth now, not brightness. In this sense, Webb is not only a telescope, it is a time machine. Its fingertips reach back nearly to the dawn. Breathe again. Imagine touching something 13 billion years old. Imagine feeling its faint warmth, still traveling across the abyss. The telescope does not hurry. It opens its golden hands, and whatever arrives, it accepts. Warmth is not judged, not filtered by brilliance. A faint ember is as welcome as a blazing star. This way of seeing transforms how we understand the cosmos. Galaxies once invisible now appear. Star nurseries are unveiled, their young stars glowing like coals inside dark smoke. Exoplanets, circling distant suns, betray themselves through tiny dips of infrared light. Even the chemistry of their atmospheres can be studied. Water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, all written in subtle patterns. Webb listens to warmth as though it were music, and in the quiet it hears notes invisible to other ears. Pause here. Picture the telescope as a musician in silence, drawing its bow across strings too faint for us to hear. The song it reveals is not one of thunder, but of tenderness. Warmth is gentle. It is persistent. It carries stories without shouting. The telescope is teaching us a softer way to see now. Imagine yourself lying in a meadow on a summer night. The stars shine overhead, brilliant pinpoints of light. But as you close your eyes, you feel something else. The warmth of the ground beneath you, the residual heat of the day. The stars may be dazzling, but the warmth is intimate, immediate, surrounding. Webb's vision is like this, less about spectacle, more about presence. It does not show only what shines, it shows what lingers. Consider, too, the philosophical shift. For centuries, humans equated sight with truth. Seeing is believing, we said. But now Webb shows us that what matters most may be unseen by ordinary eyes. Warmth, persistence, endurance, these are truths too subtle for brightness. To believe them, we must expand what sight means. Breathe deeply. Inhale the sense of hiddenness revealed. Exhale the humility of knowing your vision is only one slice of the spectrum. The telescope widens that spectrum, and in doing so, widens imagination. Infrared also reminds us of intimacy. To see warmth is to see life. Every living body glows in infrared. Every leaf, every animal, every human. If Webb were turned toward Earth, not its mission, but imagine it would see us not in our features, but in our warmth, not in our details, but in our being alive. There is a quiet comfort in that thought, that at the most subtle level, what we radiate is not appearance, but presence. And so the telescope, in its golden silence, does not only look outward, it mirrors inward. It teaches us that to see warmth is to honor life, to value what persists when brightness fades. As this chapter moves toward stillness, you realize that Webb's way of seeing is not only about galaxies and stars, It is about us. It whispers that true vision is not always in brightness, but in warmth. That what matters most may not be what dazzles, but what endures. The telescope that sees warmth invites you to do the same, to notice not only what shines in your life, but what glows quietly, persistently, faithfully. The presence of loved ones, the rhythm of your breath, the warmth of memory. These, too, are galaxies revealed when dust clears. One more breath. Inhale the warmth that surrounds you, invisible yet real. Exhale into the quiet night. Webb waits in its cold silence, fingertips open, ready to sense what cannot be seen. And you, too, can rest with that thought, that sometimes the deepest truths arrive not in brilliance, but in glow. As this chapter ends, the question unfolds softly. If warmth reveals what brightness hides, then what else might be uncovered by new senses, new ways of listening? Could the universe hold truths, not in light, not in warmth, but in patterns we have not yet learned to feel? Close your eyes and picture a framed, dark, simple, ordinary at first glance. Then, slowly, it fills. Dots appear, then more, then countless more. They are not stars, though they may look like them. They are galaxies, hundreds, thousands, each one carrying billions of stars. Each star perhaps carrying planets, each planet perhaps carrying stories. And all of this, all of it, revealed in a single image. This was Webb's first gift, a picture, not of one place, but of time itself. You drift into the thought of what a photograph can hold. A portrait holds a moment. A landscape holds a horizon. But Webb's images hold billions of years. Light that left its sources when the universe was young now arrives as delicate colors, caught by gold mirrors, aligned in silence. A snapshot becomes a time capsule. To look at it is to look backward, to see not only distance, but age. Breathe slowly. Inhale the enormity of that frame. Exhale the humility it brings. This is not a simple picture. It is an archive of time layered on itself. The galaxies nearest are young in age, but old in appearance. Behind them, older galaxies stretch thinner, redder, their light elongated by distance and expansion. The farther back you gaze, the closer you come to the universe's dawn. One image, many epochs. One frame, a library of beginnings. Imagine yourself entering the image as though it were a meadow. You step softly between galaxies, each glowing like a flower. Some spiral gracefully, their arms extended in delicate curves. Others are irregular, turbulent, colliding with neighbors. Sparks of new stars igniting in their chaos. Elliptical galaxies glow like lanterns, smooth and ancient, their stars long settled. You walk among them, not with feet, but with imagination, drifting from bloom to bloom, humbled by their variety. Pause here. Notice how calm it feels to let the image surround you. The galaxies do not rush. Their light has traveled billions of years, and it has no urgency. They simply appear, offering themselves to your gaze. You, too, can rest in this pace. There is no need to hurry when the subject itself is timeless. The first images were more than proof of success. They were revelations, star nurseries, where clouds of gas and dust glowed in hidden light, stellar death throes, where gas spread like wings across the sky, gravitational lenses, where galaxies bent the light of those behind them. magnifying the faintest whispers of the early universe. Each picture was both science and art, precision measured in microns, and beauty beyond measure. Now imagine Webb's gaze, not as a camera, but as a time traveler. When you see a galaxy 10 billion light-years away, you are not seeing it as it is. You are seeing it as it was 10 billion years ago. The telescope is a messenger, carrying news from the past. The first images were not moments, they were histories. To look is to witness time unfolding, gently, layer by layer. Take another slow breath. Let the thought expand within you. Every photograph is already a memory. Even on Earth, when you capture a sunrise, by the time the image forms, the light is already past. The present is already gone. Webb simply stretches this truth farther. It shows us that all seeing is remembering. These images also remind us of perspective. For decades, Hubble had shown us glimpses of distant galaxies, deep fields full of faint smudges. Webb sharpened them, deepened them, multiplied them. Where Hubble saw faint outlines, Webb revealed details: spiral arms, clusters. It was as though the universe had been whispering all along, and now the whisper became clear. You reflect on this, realizing how often in life clarity arrives not with new subjects, but with better listening. The galaxies were always there. They did not change. We did. We learned to listen more carefully, to see in warmth, to open wider mirrors. The lesson is quiet but profound. What you perceive depends as much on your patience as on the subject itself. Now, imagine yourself holding one of those images. You run your fingers gently over its surface. Though the galaxies are light years beyond touch, you feel the texture of possibility. Within one frame may lie answers to questions we have barely begun to ask. How did galaxies form? How did stars assemble? Could life have begun elsewhere, long before us? The photograph does not speak, but it invites. It is less a conclusion than a doorway. Breathe again. Inhale the invitation. Exhale the humility. Let yourself rest in the thought that knowledge begins not with answers, but with images that stir curiosity. The first images also carried something deeply human. They were shared across the world, displayed in classrooms, streamed across screens, printed in newspapers. People who had never thought of astronomy before paused. For a moment, borders faded, and wonder became common language. A single image held not just galaxies, but humanity's collective gaze. We looked together, and in looking, we were one. Consider how rare that is to share awe on such a scale. These pictures were not political speeches, not national achievements alone. They were gifts from the universe itself, delivered through mirrors and patience. To gaze at them is to remember what unites us, the desire to know where we come from, and the longing to be part of something larger than ourselves. Pause here. Feel the calm of that unity. Imagine billions of people scattered across continents, pausing at the same time to look at the same galaxies. The stars, indifferent, do not change, but in our shared looking, we change together. As you linger in this thought, you realize that Webb's first images are more than data. They are mirrors of us. They show our capacity for patience, for vision, for beauty. They show that we can build something delicate and precise, launch it into silence, and trust it to unfold. They show that we can look not only outward, but inward, into our own longing. One more slow breath. Inhale the galaxies, countless and distant. Exhale your own smallness within them. Notice that the smallness is not disparate, is relief. To be small is to be part of something vast. To be fleeting is to belong to time itself. And so, as this chapter closes, you hold the thought gently. A single snapshot can hold time, layered in light, carrying billions of years in silence. To look is to walk among epochs, softly, with awe. And as you step forward, another question rises. If one image can hold so much, what will happen when thousands of images accumulate? What story will emerge when we stitch them together, frame by frame, into a deeper portrait of the universe? Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing in a quiet field at night. Above you, stars glitter, each one a pin of light pressed into darkness. You tilt your head back, and without thinking, you assume you are seeing them as they are now, live, shining, present. But that is not true. Every point of light is delayed. The nearest star is 4 years away in time. Others are hundreds, thousands. The light you see has been traveling across distance, carrying its message long after the moment it left. To look into the sky is always to look into the past. Now expand that thought beyond the stars above your field. The James Webb Space Telescope does not only look at stars nearby, it reaches toward galaxies billions of light years away. Each photon that enters its golden mirrors is ancient, older than our species, older than Earth's mountains and rivers, older even than our sun. The telescope is not seeing the present. It is reading history, one photon at a time. Take a slow breath. Inhale the awareness that sight is memory. Exhale the humility that comes with it. To see, truly, is to remember. This is why Webb is often called a time machine. Not because it travels through time, but because light itself carries time forward. To gather that light is to gather memory. When Webb looks at a galaxy 13 billion light years away, it is seeing that galaxy as it was 13 billion years ago, when the universe was still a child, when stars were young, when galaxies were only learning how to shine. Pause and picture this, a galaxy, faint and small, its stars just beginning to ignite. It does not know what it will become. It cannot see its own spirals or its future collisions. It is simply beginning, glowing softly against the dark. And now, billions of years later, its light arrives in Webb's mirrors, carrying that innocence, that beginning, to us. To look is to witness a child's first breath, even though that child has long since grown, changed, or disappeared. There is a tenderness in this, for in daily life, the present feels immediate, solid, but the universe whispers a different truth. We never see anything as it is, only as it was. Every gaze is delayed, every sight is memory. This is not a flaw, but a gift. It means that the universe always carries its history with it, always leaving traces, always offering glimpses of its past selves. Now imagine yourself drifting beside Webb in its silent orbit, its mirrors face outward, gold petals open, waiting. Photons arrive, faint, stretched thin by distance and time. They fall into the instruments, into detectors colder than any night on Earth. They leave their imprint, and slowly an image is built. What looks to you like a picture is, in truth, a collection of memories, layered pixel by pixel, each one a message from a different age. Breathe gently. Let that image settle. Each galaxy in the frame is not a present being, but a past one. Some may no longer exist. Some may have merged, transformed, or faded. Yet here they are, preserved in light, offered to you as if time itself wanted to be remembered. Think of the universe as a great archive, not of stone, not of ice, not of sediment, but of light. Every photon is a record, a messenger that has carried its story across billions of years. Webb is the archivist, the librarian who receives them, files them, reveals them. But the archive is always partial. Not all light reaches us. Some is absorbed by dust, some lost to expansion, some too faint to see. What we have are fragments, but fragments are enough. Imagine the universe as a child. In its earliest days, it was filled not with galaxies, but with a hot, glowing plasma, too dense for light to escape. When it finally cooled, light could travel freely. That first light is still with us, stretched into microwaves, forming the cosmic background radiation. Webb looks just beyond that to the first stars and galaxies that formed after the darkness lifted. To look at them is to look at the universe's childhood, its first words, its earliest steps. There is something deeply moving in that thought. We are not only observers, we are witnesses of beginnings. Our own beginnings, too, are wrapped inside those galaxies. For the atoms in our bodies were forged in stars like those first ones, spread by explosions, gathered into clouds, born again as planets and people. To look back in time is to look at the nursery of our own being. Breathe slowly. Inhale the sense of origin. Exhale the wonder of connection. You are not separate from what Webb sees. You are made of it. The galaxies are not distant strangers. They are your ancestors. Written in light dot, now reflect on what it means to live in a universe where time is always layered. You are a present being, yet every sight you take in is a past. Every star, every galaxy, even the moon, is delayed. You never see things as they are, only as they were. And yet, life continues. You live fully, even in delay. Perhaps this is the lesson. Certainty is not required for presence. To witness the past is still to be alive in the now. Picture yourself again in that field at night. You look up and the stars glimmer. You realize you are not seeing them now, but then. Yet the moment is no less beautiful. The stars do not need to be current to inspire. They only need to be present in your eyes, in your imagination. In the same way, Webb's images do not show the universe as it is, but as it was, and that is enough. As this chapter drifts toward stillness, you hold the gentle thought that time is not linear, not distant. It folds, it layers, it overlaps. The telescope's images are not just snapshots, but windows into memory. To gaze at them is to walk softly among the universe's childhood, to stand quietly in its nursery, to feel its first warmth, its first light. One last breath. Inhale the childlike glow of galaxies learning to shine. Exhale into the calm of wonder. And as you step forward, another question rises softly. If we can look back into time, how far can we go? Could we ever see the very first light itself, the dawn of everything? Close your eyes and imagine the universe as a vast night, stretching without end. For a time after the Big Bang, There was no starlight, no galaxies, no suns or moons. Only darkness, filled with invisible matter and a thin mist of hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements, drifting without form. This was the universe's childhood before memory, a stage scientists called the cosmic dark ages. And into this silence, astronomers now ask their most delicate question. When did the darkness end? When did the first stars awaken and the first galaxies bloom? The James Webb Space Telescope was built to chase this question. Its mirrors, cold and golden, do not just look, they listen, reaching for the faintest warmth of the earliest light. Webb becomes a time machine, tuned not to the now, but to the then. Each image it gathers is a doorway, and each doorway leads closer to the dawn. Breathe slowly. Inhale the vastness of silence before stars. Exhale the awe of imagining the very first sparks. Scientists call it cosmic dawn, the moment the first stars lit hydrogen into fire, ending the dark ages. These stars were not like our sun. They were massive, hot, short-lived, burning through their fuel quickly and exploding as supernova. In their deaths, they forged heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, that would someday form planets and life. To find them is not simply to see stars, but to see the seeds of everything. Pause again. Imagine holding a prism in your hand, watching the rainbow scatter. Now imagine Webb doing the same, but with galaxies. Instead of colors, you see fingerprints. Instead of rainbows, you see recipes. Instead of sunlight, you see the breath of alien worlds. Every line in a spectrum is both absence and presence. A missing color says, here is what was absorbed. And what was absorbed says, here is what exists. This paradox is calming. Sometimes what is missing tells the most important story. Now, reflect on your own life. The things you see clearly faces moments. Successes are important, but sometimes what is absent speaks louder. The silence in a conversation, the pause between breaths, the gap in memory, all are spectra of their own. Just as Webb listens to what is missing, you too can listen to what is not there, and in doing so, discover meaning. Take another slow breath. Inhale the patience of science. Exhale the gentleness of discovery. Let the calm of hidden chemistry settle in you. The universe whispers its ingredients, not to prove, not to boast, but to share. Light carries memory. Chemistry carries possibility, and Webb, unfolding in silence, becomes translator. To look at its spectra is to hear the universe hum a recipe for life. As this chapter softens, you hold the thought gently. The dark is never empty. It is filled with hidden chemistry, waiting for instruments quiet enough, patient enough, humble enough to listen. And then another question rises softly, unresolved. If the universe whispers its ingredients, could it also whisper recipes of life itself not? But patterns of biology, of breath, of presence. Close your eyes and imagine a star, far away, burning steadily in the dark. To you, it seems like just another point of light in the sky, indistinguishable from thousands of others. But with patience, with focus, with instruments tuned to whispers, something astonishing reveals itself. The star flickers just slightly as a planet passes in front. The James Webb Space Telescope watches carefully, and in that tiny dimming, an entire world is unveiled. This is the art of exoplanet discovery. Not by sight. These worlds are too faint, too small to appear directly, but by subtlety. A dip in starlight, a pattern repeated, a spectrum bent. These are the signs that something else is there. Where the eye sees only a star, Webb sees a system. Where the eye sees uniform light, Webb sees an atmosphere glowing faintly with chemistry, heat, and maybe even clouds. Breathe slowly. Inhale the thought of hidden worlds. Exhale the wonder of patience that reveals them. Webb's instruments are powerful enough to not only detect exoplanets, but to study their skies. When a planet transits its star, starlight passes through its atmosphere. Molecules absorb certain wavelengths, leaving fingerprints in the spectrum. Water vapor, carbon dioxide, methanol become visible in their absence. A planet's invisible breath becomes legible. A story written in light. Now imagine one such world, a giant planet, larger than Jupiter, orbiting close to its sun. Its clouds glow with heat, streaming like ribbons across a sky perpetually bright. Webb detects its atmosphere shimmering with water vapor, its winds carrying storms far greater than any on Earth. You cannot see it with your eyes, but through Webb, you can almost feel its heat radiating, its vastness rolling silently around its star. Pause here. Let the image expand. An unseen world, unveiled only by the smallest changes in light. This is how discovery often works, not in spectacle, but in subtlety, not in noise, but in whispers. Webb has already revealed clouds on distant planets, hazes that veil their atmospheres, layers of complexity we never expected. Some glow with heat, radiating energy captured from their stars. Others appear cooler, their gases shifting gently under starlight. Each world is unique, each one a laboratory of possibility. Breathe again. Inhale the strangeness of alien skies. Exhale the humility of knowing you will never stand beneath them, yet you can still know them through light. The telescope's focus reaches not only giants, but smaller worlds, mini Neptunes, planets that blur the categories. Some may be rocky, some wrapped in thick atmospheres. Webb listens for their signals, teasing out whether water clouds gather, whether carbon weaves its chemistry there, whether the heat they radiate suggests a balance where life might cling. To think of life is to let imagination drift. Picture a rocky world orbiting a calm star. Its atmosphere carries the faint whisper of water vapor. Clouds gather, storms move. The balance of gases hints at something dynamic, something alive. You will never see its oceans, never touch its soil, but through Webb's gaze, you can sense its presence. To look is to imagine, and imagination itself is a form of connection. Pause again. Notice how calm it feels to rest not in certainty, but in possibility. The telescope does not prove life. It does not offer conclusion. It simply opens the door to wonder, and wonder is enough. EXOPLANETS remind us that our own world is not alone. The Earth is not the singular home, but one among billions of possibilities. Each distant signature, each faint atmosphere is a reminder that we are part of something larger. We are not isolated. We are accompanied, even if silently. Now imagine Webb as a gardener tending a field of stars. Each star carries seeds of planets. Some sprout into giants, some into rocky grounds, some perhaps into gardens themselves. The telescope does not harvest, does not touch. It simply watches, nurtures, understanding, reveals the growth. We, in turn, learn to see the universe not as empty, but as fertile. Take a slow breath. Inhale the fertility of possibility. Exhale the peace of not needing an answer yet. The intimacy of Webb's exoplanet studies lies in the scale. Galaxies stretch billions of light years, but planets are small, delicate, fragile. To sense their atmospheres is to hear the softest notes in the cosmic symphony. It is a reminder that even in vastness, the smallest signals matter. A dip of starlight, a faint absorption line, a tiny whisper in the dark, enough to reveal a world. Reflect now on your own life. How often do the smallest signals matter most? A pause in conversation, a subtle glance, a faint warmth in silence. These are spectra of their own atmospheres of presence. Webb teaches us to honor smallness, to listen not for the loudest voices, but for the quiet ones that reveal truth. As this chapter softens, you feel gratitude for the telescope's patience. It does not rush. It waits for transits, for dimmings, for faint shifts. It listens with calm, and in that listening, worlds appear. One more breath. Inhale the patience of discovery. Exhale into the calm of distant skies. And then the question rises gently. If Webb can reveal clouds and chemistry in alien skies, might it one day detect not only ingredients, but signs of life itself, patterns too strange to be mere physics, signals of breath, of presence? Close your eyes and breathe slowly. You feel air fill your lungs, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. With every inhale and exhale, you are adding to Earth's atmosphere. You are altering the chemistry of the sky, not alone, but with every tree, every ocean, every organism. Life, simply by existing, leaves a signature. A planet without life would have different air, silent in its chemistry. But a living planet carries imbalance, rhythm, a breath. Astronomers call these imbalances biosignatures. They are patterns of gases that hint at processes too complex to be explained by physics alone. Oxygen is one such gas. On Earth, it floods the atmosphere because of photosynthesis, plants and microbes turning light into breath. Methane is another. Alone, each gas might have geological explanations. Together, in the right proportions, they sing of life. To search for biosignatures is to search for songs written in air. Breathe again. Inhale the thought of atmospheres as symphonies. Exhale the wonder of listening across the dark. The James Webb Space Telescope is humanity's most sensitive ear for these symphonies. When a planet passes in front of its star, Webb catches the starlight filtering through its atmosphere, splits it into a spectrum, and reads the missing lines. Each dip is a note. Each note is a molecule. And sometimes, in the layering of notes, a melody emerges. Not just water, not just carbon dioxide, but patterns together, hinting at something alive. Pause here. Imagine Webb as a musician sitting quietly in the void, bow poised, listening for harmonies. The universe hums softly, faintly, among the background of physics. The telescope strains for the subtle addition of biology. Scientists dream of the day when Webb, or its successors, finds such a pattern. A rocky planet in the habitable zone of a calm star, with water vapor in its clouds. oxygen in its air, methane drifting faintly in balance. The spectrum would show not silence, not geology alone, but breath. For the first time, we would know life is not unique to Earth. The universe itself is alive in more than one place. Breathe slowly. Inhale the possibility of neighbors unseen. Exhale the humility of waiting for proof. The search is patient. Most planets' Webb studies are giants hot Jupiters, mini Neptunes, worlds easier to detect. But step by step, the methods refine. Each spectrum teaches us how to listen better. Each analysis brings us closer to smaller worlds, Earth-sized, temperate, fragile. The journey is long, but so was the journey to find exoplanets at all. Once impossible, now routine. Once invisible, now catalogued by thousands. The path to biosignatures is a continuation of that patient unfolding. Now imagine yourself drifting above such a planet. Its clouds roll beneath you, white against blue. Its land glows with subtle colors. Its oceans shimmer faintly. You cannot land, cannot touch, but in its air you read its truth. Oxygen rising from forests, methane exhaled by creatures unknown, carbon dioxide balanced by cycles of life. You inhale in imagination, and the air tells you, I am alive. Pause again. Notice how intimate that feels. To know a planet not by sight, not by geography, but by breath. Breath is the universal sign of presence, the rhythm of life itself. Biosignatures may not prove intelligence, may not prove civilizations. They may only prove microbes, small and simple. But that is enough. To know that life happened twice, that the spark of chemistry organized itself into persistence on more than one world, would transform our understanding. The universe would no longer be silent. It would be shared. Take another slow breath. Inhale the possibility that the cosmos already breathes. Exhale the humility of not yet knowing. There is also caution. Biosignatures are not simple. Gases can mislead. Oxygen can come from splitting water without life. Methane can seep from geology. Patterns can trick us. Echoes without singers. The challenge is not just detection, but interpretation. Webb teaches us to be humble, to wait, to test, to not mistake silence for absence or noise for proof. But even in the uncertainty, there is wonder, for the search itself is an act of connection. To ask whether life exists elsewhere is to admit we are not the measure of all things. To listen for another planet's breath is to practice empathy on a cosmic scale. Imagine again the telescope floating in silence, its golden mirrors spread wide. Around it, stars scatter like frost across eternity. Some hold only fire, some hold planets, barren and quiet. But somewhere, perhaps, there is one where the air hums with life, where chemistry is not silent, but rhythmic. Webb strains for that rhythm, translating light into melody, searching for breath across the dark. Pause and let yourself rest with that thought. You do not need certainty to feel wonder. The question itself is a form of belonging. To seek life is to acknowledge life's fragility and its persistence. It is to honor the breath you now take, part of the atmosphere of your own living planet. One last slow breath. Inhale Earth's air, filled with signatures of life. Exhale gratitude for the search that extends beyond it. And as this chapter softens, you feel the next question rise gently. If we do find life's signature, however faint, however small, what will it mean for us? Will it change how we see ourselves, how we live on Earth? Close your eyes and remember the promise of Webb, to look back in time, to glimpse the earliest galaxies, faint and small, forming shyly in the darkness after the Big Bang. Astronomers expected Webb to see them as dim smudgestini, fragile sparks slowly gathering their stars. But when the telescope's first deep images arrived, something unexpected appeared. Galaxies large, bright, and complex, already glowing in the earliest dawn. The discovery was a gentle shock. It was like opening a diary you thought would begin with childhood scribbles, only to find mature handwriting already on the first page. The universe seemed to have grown up faster than anyone expected. Breathe slowly. Inhale the surprise of discovery. Exhale the humility of being reminded that even our best models are sketches, not certainties. For decades, astronomers built theories of how galaxies formed. Hydrogen and helium gathered slowly, pulled by gravity into clouds, which condensed into stars. Those stars merged into clusters, those clusters into galaxies. It was thought to be a gradual process, stretched across hundreds of millions of years. But Webb's vision showed galaxies already bright, already massive. When the universe was less than 500 million years old, too early, too large, too luminous. Pause here. Let the paradox unfold gently in your mind. The telescope designed to answer questions of beginnings has given us new mysteries instead. Scientists call them too early galaxies. Their existence challenges the models of cosmic dawn. How could so much structure, so much light, have appeared so quickly? Did stars form more efficiently than expected? Did black holes grow faster, fueling rapid light? Or are our assumptions about the early universe incomplete, waiting to be rewritten? Think of this moment not as failure, but as wonder. Discovery is not a straight road from question to answer. It is a spiral where every solution opens new doorways. Webb is not closing the story of origins, it is expanding it. Now imagine yourself as one of those galaxies, glowing brightly in the early cosmos. You are small by today's standards, but vast compared to what was expected. Your stars ignite in furious bursts. Your light streams outward, carrying news of your too early brightness. Billions of years later, that light arrives in golden mirrors, and astronomers puzzle over you. You are not breaking rules. You are reminding them that the rules are still being written. Breathe again. Inhale the feeling of awe at being surprised. Exhale the comfort of knowing that not knowing is part of knowledge. Science lives in this tension. Models are built carefully, patiently, with evidence. But evidence can always surprise. The puzzle of early galaxies shows us that the universe is more creative than our theories. It does not fit neatly into our expectations. It blooms faster, stranger, bolder. Pause and let this lesson settle. To live is also to be surprised, to plan, to predict, and then to be reminded that life, like the universe, does not always follow your time. The shock is not a failure. It is a gift. It is the universe showing you that there is more than you imagined. The galaxies, Webb revealed, are not only bright, they are structured. Spirals and disks appear earlier than predicted. Black holes may already lurk in their centers. Heavy elements forged by stars, seem to have appeared quickly. The universe wasted no time in complexity. It leaped forward, skipping steps we thought necessary. Imagine watching a child stand before learning to crawl, run before learning to walk. That is what these galaxies suggest. The cosmos, in its earliest days, was precocious. It grew quickly, confidently, perhaps impatiently, and now, billions of years later, we stand astonished at its speed. Take another breath. Inhale the speed of cosmic growth. Exhale the humility of admitting we do not yet know how. Some scientists caution patience. The galaxies may not be as massive as they appear. Their light may be tricking us, magnified by gravitational lensing or brightened by bursts of star formation. The data is young, the models complex, but whether or not the puzzle is as large as it seems, the wonder remains. Webb has shown us that the early universe is not simple. It is layered, surprising, mysterious, and so you rest in the thought that discovery is not about final answers, but about deeper questions. The puzzle of two early galaxies does not close the book of origins. It turns the page. Now reflect on your own life. How often do beginnings appear faster, brighter, more complex than expected? A friendship, a dream, a change that blooms quickly, skipping the slow stages you thought were required. At first, the speed unsettles you, but then you see it for what it is. Life showing its creativity, its refusal to fit your models. The universe does the same. It refuses to be contained by theory. It insists on being more. Pause here. Feel the comfort in that refusal. To be surprised is to be alive. To be puzzled is to be present in discovery. Webb's puzzle is not just about galaxies. It is about humility. We believed we understood the timeline of creation. Webb showed us that the timeline may be richer, stranger, faster. And this humility is not defeated, is the heart of science. To admit surprise is to open to growth. One last slow breath. Inhale the gentle shock of early galaxies. Exhale gratitude for a universe still full of mystery. And as this chapter softens, another question rises gently. If galaxies could appear earlier, larger, brighter than expected, what else might the universe be holding back? What other surprises wait in the dark, beyond the reach of our models? Close your eyes and picture a great cloud vast, dark and quiet. It is not solid, but a river of gas and dust, stretching across light years, too faint for ordinary eyes to see. To most, it would look like emptiness, like shadow. But Webb, with its gift for warmth, looks deeper. In the darkness, it sees glow. The cloud is alive, folding and swirling, gathering itself into knots. These knots will become stars. The telescope reveals these places, stellar nurseries like lanterns, hidden behind curtains. Dust that blocks visible light becomes transparent in infrared. What seemed void now blooms with detail. Pillars of gas, sculpted by radiation, glowing softly. Clusters of stars, newly born, their light still wrapped in veils. To peer into these cradles is to watch the universe knitting fire from silence. Breathe slowly. Inhale the quiet power of beginnings. Exhale the wonder of stars being born. One last slow breath. Inhale the pull of mystery. Exhale the gratitude for centers unseen. And as you drift onward, another question rises gently. If galaxies are built around dark hearts, What then lies at the heart of the universe itself? Close your eyes. Imagine yourself standing under a night sky. Stars shimmer, the moon glows, and faint wisps of the Milky Way stretch across the dark. You trust your eyes, believing they reveal the sky as it is. Yet your vision is only a sliver, a narrow window on the spectrum of light. Most of the universe passes by unseen, too long, too short, too faint for your eyes to catch. The James Webb Space Telescope was built for this unseen world. Unlike optical telescopes that mirror our human eyes, Webb reaches into infrared, the gentle warmth of light stretched beyond the visible. Through this window, galaxies appear that had been hidden. Stars shrouded in dust glow softly. Structures veiled in shadow emerge. What seemed empty is revealed as full. The dark is not dark at all. Breathe slowly. Inhale the humility of limits. Exhale the wonder of new sight. Infrared is everywhere. When you place your hand near a stove and feel heat though you see no flame, that is infrared. When the earth cools at night, releasing the day's warmth into the sky, that is infrared. Your own body glows with it constantly. To Webb, even the coldest gas cloud radiates faint warmth, enough to sketch its shape. In this way, the telescope listens not for brightness, but for glow. Pause here. Reflect on how often life hides truths in plain sight. Invisible, not because they are absent, but because they lie outside your perception. The unseen is not unreachable, it waits for the right eyes. Webb's first images stunned us with their detail because of this unseen light. Where Hubble saw only outlines, Webb saw textures, clouds sculpted into pillars, stars being born within veils, galaxies stretched thin by time. The difference was not the objects themselves, but the window through which we looked. A change of vision changed the story. Imagine yourself drifting into one of these veiled regions, a stellar nursery. To your ordinary sight, it is a wall of dust, opaque and dark. But through Webb's gaze, the wall becomes translucent. Inside, stars are forming, hidden embers glowing. You feel the paradox. What your eyes call darkness is, in truth, creation. Breathe again. Inhale the patience of hidden beginnings. Exhale the comfort of knowing the unseen is still alive. Infrared light also reveals galaxies at the edge of time. Their visible light has been stretched, redshifted by the expansion of the universe until it lies beyond human sight. To our eyes, they have vanished. To Webb, they appear faint. The telescope does not change the galaxies, it changes our ability to see them. The universe has always been there, waiting. This teaches a quiet lesson. Limits are not failures. To admit you cannot see everything is not weakness, but truth. And in admitting, you create space for tools, for allies, for new eyes. Just as Webb extends our senses, so too can humility extend your understanding. Pause and let this thought soften you. You are not expected to see all things. To know your window is narrow is to open to wonder. The unseen also carries intimacy. Webb can detect the faint warmth of exoplanets, atmospheres glowing just slightly as they orbit distant stars. You will never see these planets with your eyes, but you can sense their presence through warmth alone. Light you cannot see still touches you, still tells you a story. Think now of your own life. How often do unseen forces shape you? Emotions carried quietly, histories hidden in silence, connections felt rather than seen. The lesson of light is that presence does not depend on visibility. The unseen is still real, still powerful. Breathe slowly. Inhale the comfort of unseen bonds. Exhale the fear of not knowing all. Webb's infrared vision reminds us that the universe is layered. Visible light is only one skin. Beneath it are deeper layers: infrared, microwave, radio, each revealing different truths. Together they form a tapestry richer than any single view. To look only with your eyes is to mistake the surface for the whole. To look with expanded vision is to honor depth. To now imagine standing before a painting. At first you see its colors, its strokes, but then, with special light, new layers, the painting is not only its surface, but its process, its history. The universe is the same. Infrared reveals the underpainting, the story beneath the visible. Pause again. Rest in the awareness that all things have layers. People, moments, galaxies. What is seen is never all. The telescope's golden mirrors do not boast of their power. They open quietly, collect patiently, translate gently. The lesson is not that human eyes are weak, but that reality is vast. To see more is not to diminish your sight, but to expand it. Humility becomes vision. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the unseen warmth of the cosmos. Exhale the gratitude for windows beyond your own. And as this chapter softens, another question rises. If there is so much light we cannot see, how much more might remain signals stranger still, forms of presence beyond even our instruments? Close your eyes and imagine the universe not as a random scattering of stars and galaxies, but as a woven fabric. Across billions of light years, matter arranges itself into threads, filaments, and knots. Where filaments intersect, galaxies cluster. Between them lie voids, vast regions, nearly empty, like spaces between strands of silk. This is the great cosmic web, the scaffolding of the universe. For centuries, we thought the cosmos was uniform, stars sprinkled evenly like grains of sand. But deeper surveys revealed patterns, chains, walls, bridges of galaxies spanning unimaginable distances. Now, with Webb's precision, we glimpse this structure more clearly. Light from galaxies, shifted and stretched by time, is mapped across the sky, revealing the delicate weave of matter. The universe is not random. It is threaded. Breathe slowly. Inhale the quiet strength of scaffolding. Exhale the wonder of a cosmos held together by invisible strands. The cosmic web is formed by gravity. After the Big Bang, matter was not perfectly smooth. Tiny fluctuation seeds in the early plasma war pulled together, growing over billions of years into filaments. Dark matter, unseen but abundant, acted as scaffolding, drawing gas and galaxies into patterns. The web is not only stars, it is mostly invisible, yet it shapes everything we see. Pause here. Reflect on the paradox. The universe's visible beauty is arranged by what cannot be seen. Gravity, dark matter, invisible forces. These are the weavers of silk. The luminous galaxies are beads strung along threads of the unseen. Webb contributes by mapping galaxies farther and fainter than ever before. By tracing their positions, astronomers outlined filaments stretching back into the earliest ages. Each galaxy is a point of light, but together they form a pattern, a lattice, extending beyond imagination. The web is not a metaphor, it is the actual architecture of existence. Now imagine yourself floating within it. Around you, galaxies form a glowing strand, like pearls along a thread. You drift toward a knot where several filaments cross a galaxy cluster, blazing with thousands of suns. Behind you, emptiness expands a cosmic void, vast and silent. You feel the contrast, fullness and emptiness, connection and gap, balance across unimaginable scales. Breathe again. Inhale the sense of belonging to a thread. Exhale the peace of knowing emptiness has its place too. The cosmic web is not static. It evolves. Filaments draw galaxies toward clusters. Clusters merge. Voids expand. It is a living fabric, shifting slowly, guided by gravity's patient hand. Web allows us to see strands near their beginnings, faint filaments forming when the universe was young. We are watching the loom at work, threads being pulled tight. Reflect for a moment on weaving itself. A loom takes separate fibers and intertwines them into strength. Alone, a fiber is fragile. Together, woven, they hold. The universe follows the same law. Galaxies alone drift, but woven into a web, they create a structure strong enough to endure. Now turn inward. What is the web of your own life? Connections with others, threads of care and memory, knots of community, voids of solitude. Each thread may seem delicate, but together they form your scaffolding. You are not scattered. You are woven. Pause again. Let yourself rest in the awareness of connection, cosmic and human. Web's mapping of the cosmic web is also mapping of time. Because light takes billions of years to travel, the strands we see are ancient. We glimpse not the web as it is today, but as it was long ago. The structure you imagine now has already grown, stretched, evolved. The cosmic web is both a snapshot and a story. Consider this: the same filaments that guided galaxies also guided our own. The Milky Way sits along a thread, part of a cluster called Laniakea, flowing toward the great attractor. Our home is not isolated. It belongs to a strand, pulled gently by invisible gravity, part of a fabric larger than we can see. Breathe slowly. Inhale the comfort of belonging to something vast. Exhale the humility of knowing you are not at the center, but a thread among threads. Astronomers use the cosmic web to ask deep questions. How much dark matter weaves it? How quickly do voids expand? How do galaxies feed along filaments, gas streaming inward like rivers? Web offers glimpses of these flows, galaxies caught midstream, filaments glowing faintly, knots forming. It is as though the telescope has opened a curtain on the loom itself. Imagine standing at the edge of such a loom, silk threads stretched across eternity. You run your hand gently across them, feeling their tension, their vibration. Each galaxy is a bead, each cluster a knot, each void a gap. The universe hums softly, a fabric alive. Pause once more. Feel yourself not outside this weave, but within it. You are not merely observing the cosmic web, you are a strand of it, matter woven into form, consciousness flickering as part of the pattern. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the silk of galaxies stretched across time. Exhale gratitude for a universe that holds itself together in beauty. And as this chapter softens, another question rises. If the universe is a web, delicate and vast, then what hand, what law, what deep rhythm is the weaver? Close your eyes and imagine holding a single grain of dust between your fingertips. It is small, almost nothing, easily lost in a breath. Yet in space, dust is not trivial. It is history, compressed into specks. Dust is the ash of stars that burned and died. Dust is the raw material from which new stars and planets form. Dust is the record keeper of the universe, tiny and silent, drifting across light years. The James Webb Space Telescope was built to see dust. Where visible light falters, blocked and scattered, infrared pierces through. What looks like emptiness to our eyes becomes alive with texture in Webb's gaze. Clouds of dust glow softly, revealing shapes, filaments, and knots. In them are stories, chemical recipes, traces of past explosions, promises of future worlds. Dust is the handwriting of time, written not on paper, but across the sky. Breathe slowly. Inhale the humility of smallness. Exhale the wonder of memory carried in grains. For centuries, astronomers considered dust. It clouded the view, blurred stars, veiled galaxies. But now we know, dust is not only nuisance, but narrator. Its presence tells us where stars have lived and died. Its chemistry shows what elements were forged in stellar furnaces. Carbon, oxygen, siliconol cling to dust grains, waiting to seed new structures. Dust is both past and future, loss and creation. Pause here. Reflect on how often life's obstacles hide meaning. What seems like interference may be a record. What seems like haze may be memory. Webb's instruments are exquisitely tuned to dust. In the Carina Nebula, the telescope revealed towering pillars sculpted by radiation, their edges glowing with newborn stars hidden within. In the Tarantula Nebula, it showed filaments woven with heavy elements, remnants of past generations of stars. Each image was more than beauty, it was a ledger, a record of cycles repeated endlessly. Dust tells us that nothing in the cosmos is wasted. Ash becomes seed, silence becomes song, endings become beginnings. Now imagine yourself drifting into one of these dusty clouds. Around you, particles swirl slowly, like smoke lit faintly from within. Some grains are older than Earth, forged before the sun was born. Others are fresh, expelled from stars that died only recently. Each grain is unique, a capsule of history. You hold one in your mind, no larger than a speck, and realize it carries the chemistry that once shaped oceans, mountains, breath. You are touching time itself. Breathe again. Inhale the richness of stardust. Exhale the peace of belonging to cycles larger than yourself. By blocking light, it draws patterns, dark lanes, cutting across galaxies, shadows in nebulae. It is both artist and archivist. Without dust, the universe would look bare, its textures lost. With dust, it gains depth, shadow, memory. Webb reads these patterns as words, deciphering what the universe has written in its margins. Think now of writing in your own life. Margins often hold the most personal notes, the reminders, the echoes. The universe does the same. Dust is its margin, filled with notes we are just beginning to read. Let yourself rest in the awareness that memory is everywhere, sometimes in the smallest places. Dust is also where planets begin. In disks around young stars, grains collide, stick, and grow. Over time, they form rocks, then worlds. Earth itself began as dust, gathered patiently into stone, then into a planet alive with seas and sky. To read dust is to read the first pages of your own story. Webb captures these disks, glowing faintly around stars, their structures hinting at planets forming even now. Somewhere, perhaps, dust is becoming a world where breath will one day rise. Breathe slowly. Inhale the potential of beginnings hidden in smallness. Exhale gratitude for the dust that became your home. The chemistry of dust tells us about life's possibilities. Webb has found complex carbon molecules, silicates, even water, ice clinging to grains. These are not life themselves, but the seeds. Scattered across the galaxy, they drift, carried into new systems, embedded in new planets. To see them is to realize that the universe is generous, scattering ingredients everywhere, writing the recipe for life in dust. Pause again. Reflect on the generosity of beginnings. Nothing is hoarded. Ash is shared. Dust drifts freely, offering itself to any star, any disk, any world. Life's possibility is not rare in potential, but abundant in distribution. The images Webb returns of dusty regions often look like art swirls and curves, curtains and waves. They remind us that creation is not neat, but flowing. Dust moves with turbulence, shaped by winds, stirred by radiation. Its beauty lies in its imperfection, its asymmetry. Like brushstrokes, its forms are records of motion, not design. Now imagine Webb watching patiently, hour after hour, catching faint infrared light from these particles. Each photon is a clue, each spectrum a sentence. To us, the dust is silent. To Webb, it speaks in warmth, in glow, in absorption lines. It is like hearing whispers in another language, translating them slowly into meaning. Take another breath. Inhale the patience of listening. Exhale the comfort of stories written in silence. Dust carries time because it endures. Stars flare and fade. Galaxies collide and change, but dust drifts on. Some grains may travel billions of years, carried between stars, witnesses to eras longer than life itself. They are time capsules, silent travelers, archivists of creation. To hold one, even in thought, is to hold memory far older than humanity. Pause here. Let yourself soften into that humility. You are temporary, but the dust within you is ancient. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your breath were once dust scattered across space. You are not apart from the cosmic archive. You are one of its volumes, written in dust. As this chapter draws to stillness, one last image lingers. The telescope peers into the dust, reading its scattered letters, deciphering history. Each grain is a word, each cloud a paragraph, each nebula a chapter. The story of the universe is not written only in stars, but in the dust between them. Take a final, slow breath. Inhale the ash of stars. Exhale into the truth that nothing is lost, only transformed. And as you drift onward, another question rises gently. If dust holds time and memory, then what stories are still hidden in the particles we have not yet read? Close your eyes and imagine time itself as a vast ocean. Waves ripple outward, carrying echoes of beginnings. Somewhere within those ripples lies the first star to ignite, the first galaxy to gather its light, the first chemistry to awaken into life. These firsts are like sparks, lost now in the distance of time, yet their glow still travels. The James Webb Space Telescope listens for them, straining for whispers at the edge of the possible. The question of firsts has always haunted us. What came before? Where did it begin? For galaxies, the question is, which one formed first, drawing stars into a luminous whole? For stars, which one burned first, breaking the long darkness after the Big Bang? And for life, which molecules danced first into persistence, breathing chemistry into rhythm? Each question reaches backward, tugging at origins we cannot fully grasp. Breathe slowly. Inhale the wonder of beginnings. Exhale the humility of not knowing them fully. Webb cannot name the first galaxy. Light from such objects may be too faint, too stretched, too obscured, but it can see farther than any telescope before, closer to that dawn. Already, it has revealed galaxies shining within the first few 100 million years, bright and bold, surprising in their maturity. They are not the very first, but they are near enough to remind us how swiftly structure arose. The puzzle of twirly galaxies whispers that maybe our models need revision, that perhaps the universe grew quicker than we thought. Pause here. Let the thought settle. The first is less a single point than a horizon, a region we approach but never fully touch. 4 stars, 2. The first remains hidden. Astronomers call them population 3 stars, born only of hydrogen and helium, untainted by heavier elements. They would have been massive, bright, short-lived, burning out quickly, scattering the first dust. Their deaths seeded the cosmos with carbon, oxygen, airing the ingredients for later stars, for planets, for life. Webb may glimpse their fingerprints in distant galaxies, in unusual spectra, in the chemistry left behind. But the stars themselves are gone, long since extinguished. The first star cannot be seen only, its absence, its legacy. Think of your own life. The first heartbeat within you is gone, but it shaped all the ones that followed. The first word you ever spoke is forgotten, but it gave birth to language. The firsts are rarely held, they are felt in what came after. Breathe again. Inhale the continuity of legacy. Exhale the peace of knowing firsts need not be preserved to be real. And then comes the question of life. What was the first spark? Was it a molecule that could copy itself? A fragile loop of chemistry persisting against odds? Was it a cluster of reactions within a droplet, stable enough to grow? We do not know. On Earth, the traces are erased, overwritten by billions of years of evolution. Webb cannot find that first directly, but by searching other planets, it searches for echoes. A biosignature in an exoplanet's sky might not show the first life, but it would prove that life begins not once, but wherever conditions allow. Pause again. Reflect on how gentle this thought is. The first spark may not be unique. It may be inevitable. The universe may carry not one first, but countless firsts. Blooming wherever matter allows. To ask about firsts is to accept mystery. The first is always receding. As you near it, questions multiply. If you found the first galaxy, you would ask what lay before. If you named the first star, you would wonder what seed gave rise to it. If you traced the first spark of life, you would ask where its ingredients came from. The search for firsts is not about answers. It is about drawing closer to the edge, about listening more carefully. Imagine Webb as a lantern held at the shore of time. Its light does not banish mystery, but it makes the path visible, a little further, a little clearer. Each discovery is not an end, but a step toward horizons still beyond reach. Breathe slowly. Inhale the calm of pursuit. Exhale the acceptance of incompletion in your own life. 2. Firsts often blur. The first moment you loved, the first time you felt belonging, the first step toward change. Do you remember them precisely? Or do they exist more as thresholds? Moments when something shifted quietly, unmistakably, even if you cannot name the exact spark. Webb's search is like that. Less about naming the first than about honoring the moment of transformation. The question of firsts carries humility. To ask it is to admit that beginnings matter. To search for them is to admit you are part of a larger story. You were not first. You will not be last. You belong within a chain of echoes, each first giving rise to another. Take one last breath. Inhale the echoes of galaxies, stars, and sparks. Exhale gratitude for being part of the sequence. And as this chapter softens, another thought rises. If we cannot hold the very first, perhaps the deeper wonder is not in origins, but in continuity, how beginnings ripple forward. Weaving futures we are only starting to imagine. Close your eyes and imagine. A canvas stretched not in a studio, but across the sky. Onto this canvas, the James Webb Space Telescope paints with light gathered from the farthest reaches of time. The brushstrokes are galaxies. The pigments are infrared glows. The textures are clouds of dust and gas. When the images return to Earth, they are not only data for astronomers. They are artworks, vast, intricate, and luminous. We often think of science as numbers, graphs, and equations. Yet when Webb shares its vision, the first reaction is not calculation, but awe. Spiral arms shimmer in detail. Star clusters sparkle like spilled jewels. Nebulae billow in radiant colors. Each image is both precise measurement and transcendent beauty. The universe reveals itself not just as knowable, but as astonishingly beautiful. Breathe slowly. Inhale the comfort of beauty. Exhale the gratitude that knowledge can look like art. The Carina Nebula became an icon in Webb's first images, towering pillars of dust glowing at their edges. Stars being born within. Scientists analyze them for spectra and densities, but viewers also simply marvel at their grandeur, their resemblance to mountains lit by eternal dawn. The Southern Ring Nebula revealed twin shells of gas, one bright, one faint, layered like delicate veils. To astronomers, it is a dying star expelling its atmosphere. To the eye, it is a cosmic flower blooming in slow motion. Reflect on how truth and beauty are not opposites, but companions. The same data that tells us temperatures and compositions also gives us shapes and colors that stir emotion. The universe speaks in two languages at once. Colors in Webb's images are not what your eyes would see directly. Infrared light is invisible, so scientists translate it into visible hues. This is not deception, but interpretation assigning color to wavelength. revealing structure otherwise hidden. The result is both accurate and artistic. What was once unseen becomes visible, not only for analysis, but for wonder. Imagine standing before such an image projected on a wall. At first, you see swirls of light, hues of gold, crimson, and sapphire. Then, with patience, you recognize features: stars clustered, dust sculpted, galaxies stretched. The picture is not abstract. Art is a photograph of reality, translated into sight. Science does not remove mystery, it deepens it. Breathe again. Inhale the humility of translation. Exhale the joy of seeing the unseen. Webb's images often resemble things familiar: a cliff of dust, a flower of gas, a string of pearls. These resemblances comfort us, giving human metaphors to the inhuman scale. Yet the reality is stranger still. Light years tall, millions of stars, matter sculpted by forces beyond imagining. The beauty lies not only in recognition, but in difference. The images remind us that the cosmos is like and unlike us, familiar and alien, near and far. Now imagine drifting inside one of these images. You float past glowing filaments, feel the silence of vast distances. Watch stars shimmer like lanterns suspended in darkness. The picture you saw on a screen becomes a place, not flat but dimensional, not still but alive with motion. What you thought was a painting is in truth a map, guiding you through structures larger than thought. Pause here. Let yourself rest in the comfort of transformation art, becoming truth, truth becoming art. The beauty of Webb's images also carries humility. These are not staged, not crafted for us. They are natural, the cosmos as it is. The telescope merely reveals them, catching light that has traveled billions of years. The colors may be assigned, but the structures are real. The spirals, the filaments, the clusters, these are not embellishments. They are existence itself, vast and intricate, waiting patiently until we could see. Reflect on how this changes your sense of beauty. It is not something humans add to the world. It is something woven into the fabric of the cosmos. We did not invent it, we discovered it. Breathe slowly. Inhale the relief that beauty is fundamental. Exhale the wonder that it does not depend on us. The images are also gifts of time. Each galaxy, each nebula, appears as it was billions of years ago. To look at them is to look backward, to witness ancient light. Beauty becomes not just spatial, but temporal. You are seeing not only where, but when. Webb's images are time machines, in color, paintings stretched across eras. Pause once more. Consider how beauty in your own life also carries time. A photograph of a childhood moment, a memory of light on water, a word once spoken. They are beautiful because they endure, because they carry past into present. Webb's images remind us that beauty is often the persistence of light across time. Astronomers study the details of these images, measuring brightness, mapping structures, extracting spectra. But beyond the data, the images circulate widely, stirring imaginations, inspiring art, music, poetry. Science does not diminish beauty, it multiplies it, giving us more reasons to marvel. Each pixel is both a number and a brushstroke. Each frame is both archive and gallery. Take another breath. Inhale the fusion of analysis and awe. Exhale the peace of knowing they need not be separate. Perhaps the greatest beauty lies in this union. Science seeks to understand. Art seeks to feel. Webb's images do both. They give us knowledge and wonder in the same frame. They remind us that the universe is not only to be explained, but also to be loved. As this chapter softens, let one final image linger. A field of galaxies, thousands upon thousands, each glowing, each different. To an astronomer, it is data on formation and evolution. To the eye, it is a tapestry of jewels scattered on velvet. To you, it is both. One last slow breath. Inhale the truth that beauty and science walk hand in hand. Exhale the gratitude that the universe reveals itself as both knowable and beautiful. And as you drift onward, another thought rises gently. If the universe is this beautiful when seen through one telescope, what greater visions might await when our eyes stretch further still? Close your eyes and picture yourself walking to the edge of a great plain. Behind you lie fields, forests, rivers, and mountains, everything you know. Ahead, mist rises, concealing what lies beyond. You cannot see through it, yet you know more land must exist past the fog. The universe has such a horizon. Astronomers call it the observable universe. Beyond it, light has not had time to reach us. The James Webb Space Telescope gazes toward this edge, pressing deeper than any instrument before. Its mirrors collect light stretched thin by distance, faint as whispers. Each photon that arrives has traveled for billions of years, older than Earth, older than the Sun. But even Webb cannot see beyond a certain limit. There, the light runs out. Beyond it lies silence, perhaps galaxies, perhaps endless void, perhaps something stranger still. Breathe slowly. Inhale the vastness. Exhale the humility of knowing there is a boundary. The edge is not physical like a wall. It is temporal. Because light travels at a finite speed, and because the universe has an age, there is only so much of it we can see. To look farther is to look back in time until you reach the cosmic dawn, when the first light emerged from a universe once opaque. Beyond that, the curtain of the Big Bang blocks all sight. The horizon is not the end of reality. It is the limit of vision. Pause here. Reflect on how every perspective carries horizons. In your life, too, you see only so far. Beyond your horizon lie unknowns. This does not mean nothing is there. It means you must live with mystery. Webb's role is to push that horizon as close to its true edge as possible. By sensing faint infrared, it pierces farther into time, seeing galaxies when they were young, almost at the dawn. Each discovery is a reminder that the horizon is not fixed, it stretches as our eyes sharpen. Yet still, an ultimate veil remains, a silence no telescope can break. Imagine yourself standing at that cosmic edge. Before you, galaxies glow faintly, their light tired from travel. Behind them, only darkness. You do not fall into void, you simply stop seeing. The silence does not end the universe. It begins the unknown. Breathe again. Inhale the quiet at the edge. Exhale the peace of resting in mystery. Astronomers sometimes speak of the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light we can see. It is the afterglow of the Big Bang, stretched into faint microwaves. Beyond it, the universe was opaque, light trapped in plasma. Webb cannot pierce that curtain, but it can reach just before it. where the first galaxies flickered on. In this way, the telescope walks right up to the fog's edge, straining for shadows within it. The edge is not frightening. It is beautiful, for it reminds us that reality is larger than perception. The observable universe is vast billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars. Yet, it is also partial. There may be countless more beyond unseen. To know that the unseen exists is to feel both small and expansive. Pause once more. Let the paradox settle. You are bounded, yet part of something boundless. Think now of your own horizons. There are places in your future you cannot see, edges where light runs out. This does not mean your story ends there. It means it continues into mystery. To live is to accept horizons, to walk with faith that beyond them lies more. The cosmos itself is your teacher here. Webb's images of faint galaxies near the horizon often look like tiny smudges, barely visible. Yet each smudge is a whole system, with stars, planets, perhaps even life. The faintest in the deepest image holds complexity beyond comprehension. To stand at the edge is not to face nothing, but to realize how much lies hidden in the faintest light. Breathe slowly. Inhale the richness of faintness. Exhale the gratitude that even the smallest glow carries stories. Astronomers wonder what lies beyond the observable universe. Infinite repetition, entirely new physics, realms of space-time disconnected from ours. We do not know, perhaps we never will. Yet the question itself is a gift. To wonder is to honor the vastness. To rest in mystery is to live truthfully. Now imagine Webb itself, drifting quietly at its post, mirrors open to the dark. It does not demand answers. It gathers patiently, photon by photon, until images form. Each image presses the horizon slightly farther, revealing what was once unseen. Science is not about erasing mystery, but about moving gently into it. Reflect on the pace of discovery. The horizon does not collapse at once. It yields slowly, like mist receding under dawn. That slowness is part of the beauty. The edge of the observable universe humbles us. We will never see beyond it directly, yet we can infer, imagine, model. The unseen is not absence, it is promise. Just as dust hides stars and black holes hide light, so the horizon hides the rest of reality. The hidden does not vanish, it waits. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the horizon's quiet. Exhale the peace of not needing to see everything. And as this chapter softens, one thought rises. If there is always an edge, always a veil, then perhaps the deepest wonder is not in reaching past it, but in learning how to live at its border with humility, with awe, with open eyes. Close your eyes and imagine a door. You know what lies behind it, or at least you think you do. You expect a room, familiar walls, objects in their place. But when the door opens, you find a garden instead, a world unimagined, stretching into distance. Surprise reshapes you in an instant. Science is filled with such doors. Every telescope ever built has opened onto the unexpected. The James Webb Space Telescope, with its golden mirrors, was built with questions in mind about first galaxies, exoplanet atmospheres, stellar nurseries. But its greatest discoveries may not come from those questions. They may come from the unasked, from what no one imagined. Surprises are not failures of prediction. They are the essence of discovery. Breathe slowly. Inhale the promise of surprise. Exhale the humility of not knowing all. History teaches us this. When Galileo first turned his telescope skyward, he expected to see stars more clearly. Instead, he found moons circling Jupiter, a solar system more complex than anyone had dreamed. When Edwin Hubble measured galaxies, he expected only to map their distribution. Instead, he discovered that the universe itself expands. When the Hubble Space Telescope launched, it revealed not just clearer images, but the deep field, a patch of sky once thought empty, now glowing with thousands of galaxies. Each step was marked not only by answers, but by astonishment. Pause here. Reflect on your own life. How often have the most transformative moments come not from plans fulfilled, but from surprises? The unexpected job, the unforeseen friendship, the chance encounter. Surprise is life's reminder that imagination is smaller than reality. Webb has already brought its own surprises. Galaxies appeared earlier and brighter than expected, challenging models of formation. Exoplanets revealed clouds where none were predicted, chemistry more complex than anticipated. Dust structures glowed with clarity never seen before. And these are only the beginning, the first pages of a book still opening. The unexpected is not a side effect. It is the story itself. Imagine Webb gazing into darkness, its mirrors open, sensors tuned. A photon arrives, just one, but its pattern does not match prediction. Another arrives, then another. Slowly, a signal emerges, faint but persistent, hinting at something new. Perhaps a type of galaxy never imagined, or a star with properties unexplainable, or chemistry that refuses our categories. At first, it unsettles us. Then it teaches us. Surprise is the universe's way of speaking. Breathe again. Inhale the strangeness of possibility. Exhale the comfort of knowing wonder is inexhaustible. What kinds of surprises might await? Perhaps Webb will reveal dark matter in ways we have not seen, its filaments glowing indirectly through their effects. Perhaps it will find black holes growing impossibly fast, or stars forming in places we thought barren. Perhaps it will uncover entirely new classes of objects, cosmic structures, unnamed, laws of physics bent at the edges. The point is not to predict the surprises. The point is to expect them. Pause once more. Let this awareness soften you. Certainty is small, but openness is vast. The unexpected is not always grand. Sometimes it is subtler detail in a spectrum, a faint shift in a curve. But from such subtleties, whole revolutions grow. A faint line in starlight once revealed helium, the first element discovered outside Earth. A dim glow in the microwave band revealed the cosmic background. Proof of the Big Bang. Webb 2 may find such faintness details overlooked until they reshape everything. Reflect on how this parallels your own path. Often the surprises that change you most are not loud, but quiet. A word that lingers, a silence that teaches, a moment small but transformative. The universe, like life, hides its greatest gifts in the delicate. Breathe slowly. Inhale the subtlety of discovery. Exhale gratitude for the unexpected detail. To wait for the unexpected is to rest in humility. It is to admit that the universe is stranger than imagination, richer than theory, larger than any model. Webb teaches us to prepare not only for answers, but for astonishment. The task is not to close surprise away, but to welcome it, to let it reshape our questions, to let it expand our sense of what is possible. Imagine, for a moment, Webb's golden mirrors as open hands, not clenched in certainty, but spread in receptivity. They do not decide what they will receive. They welcome whatever arrives. To be like Webb is to hold your own life that way, not demanding outcomes, but welcoming surprise, trusting that the unexpected is not enemy but gift. Pause here. Rest in the thought that openness is its own kind of vision. The unexpected also reminds us of limits. We are not masters of the universe. We are students. Every surprise is a lesson, a reminder that reality is not bound to our ideas. This is not defeat, it is grace. To live surprised is to live in awe, to let wonder teach you again and again. Take another breath. Inhale the grace of being a student of mystery. Exhale the peace of not needing to control. Astronomers sometimes say that the greatest discoveries are the ones we do not anticipate. This is why they build instruments, not only to test theories, but to open new windows. Webb is such a window onto the faint, the hidden, the early. To peer through it is to invite surprise. To wait at its edge is to know that wonder is inevitable. Now imagine yourself waiting with Webb. You drift in darkness, mirrors spread, sensors ready. You do not know what will arrive, but you trust it will astonish you. Light travels across billions of years, carrying secrets. You are not anxious for them. You are patient. You rest in expectancy. This is what it means to wait for the unexpected, not tense, but calm, not demanding, but ready. Pause once more. Feel the peace of expectancy. The surprises will come in science and in life. Your task is only to welcome them as this chapter draws to stillness. Let one final image linger. A galaxy field, thousands of points of light. Among them, perhaps, is something never imagined. You do not know which one. You do not need to. The wonder is already here in the waiting. One last slow breath. Inhale the promise of discoveries unimagined. Exhale into the quiet truth that surprise itself is a form of beauty. And as you drift onward, another question rises. If the universe always exceeds imagination, then perhaps the true journey is not to reach certainty, but to remain open to being surprised again and again. Close your eyes and picture the golden mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope. They open in silence, petal by petal, reflecting starlight across the cold of space. But they do not only reflect galaxies and nebulae, they reflect us, the species that built them, the minds that dreamed them, the longing that launched them. In Webb's gaze lies not only the universe, but humanity's desire to understand it. Every photograph the telescope sends back is a record of our questions. What were the first galaxies like? How do stars ignite? Could life exist elsewhere? Beneath each question lies something deeper, the need to know, to reach beyond the visible, to listen for whispers across time. Webb is more than an instrument. It is a mirror of our curiosity. Breathe slowly. Inhale the truth of longing. Exhale the peace of knowing curiosity itself is enough. From the beginning, humans have looked upward. Ancient people carved star maps into stone. told stories about constellations, built monuments aligned with solstices. Each act was both practical and poetic, both to track seasons and to seek meaning. The James Webb Space Telescope continues that tradition on a cosmic scale. It is the same impulse, extended with gold and silicon, radio links and mathematics. We do not stop asking. We refine the tools of asking. Pause here. Reflect on how much of what we call progress is simply the deepening of questions. The telescope is not an end, but an extension of wonder. To build Webb was to act on faith. 20 years of work, thousands of people, countless tests, all for a telescope that could have failed at launch, or faltered in unfolding, or slipped in orbit. Yet it worked. The mirrors opened, the instruments cooled, the images arrived. What we see now, sprills, nebulae, distant galaxies, not only cosmic realities, they are testaments to persistence, to the human willingness to invest in wonder. Imagine yourself as part of that process. The engineer polishing a mirror to atomic precision, the scientist calculating orbital trajectories, the technician tightening a final bolt. Each task small, but together they became the means of seeing billions of years into the past. Webb reflects not only stars, but the collaboration of countless hands and minds. Breathe again. Inhale the power of collaboration. Exhale gratitude for the shared pursuit of vision. The telescope also reflects our fragility. We ask about beginnings because we sense our own. We search for life because we know our own is precious, fleeting, uncertain. To map galaxies is also to map perspective, to remind ourselves that we are small, yet part of something vast. Webb humbles us, not by diminishing, but by placing us within scale. The reflection is not that we are insignificant. It is that we belong. Pause once more. Let this humility soften you. To be small is not to be meaningless. To be curious is to be woven into the cosmos. Every spectrum Webb captures is also a metaphor for human experience. We, too, are composed of layers. We shine in visible ways, but much of us lies hidden, revealed only with patience, with the right kind of listening. To search the skies is also to search ourselves. The gases in an exoplanet's atmosphere may mirror the breath in our own lungs. The dust of nebulae mirrors the dust in our bones. The cycles of stars mirror the cycles of our lives: birth, endurance, fading, renewal. Think now of your own mirror. How often do you see yourself not in reflection, but in relation? In the eyes of others? In the questions you ask? In the work you do? Webb teaches that to gaze outward is always also to gaze inward. The act of curiosity is a form of self-recognition. Breathe slowly. Inhale the mirror of the universe. Exhale the mirror of yourself. The beauty of Webb's images reminds us that science and art are not separate. They are both expressions of our longing to turn data into color, to translate spectra into pictures, is not only to understand but to feel. We do not only measure the universe, we celebrate it. In doing so, we celebrate ourselves, a species capable of awe, capable of turning equations into wonder, capable of finding beauty in truth. Pause here. Rest in the thought that what makes us human is not only survival, but curiosity expressed as joy. The telescope also reflects our future. Each question we ask through it carries forward. Children who see its images may dream of becoming astronomers, artists, storytellers. The light Webb gathers now will ripple into lives not yet born, shaping new questions, new mirrors. To be human is not only to seek answers, but to leave pathways of wonder for those who follow. Imagine Webb 1,000 years from now. It may no longer function, drifting silent in its orbit, but the images it returned will still live, still inspire. The mirror will continue reflecting, not in metal, but in memory. Breathe again. Inhale the continuity of wonder. Exhale the comfort of belonging to a lineage of seekers. To search the universe is also to search for meaning, not answers carved in certainty, but reflections offered in awe. When Webb reveals a galaxy cluster, we see not only light, but our own desire to place ourselves in context. When it reveals exoplanet atmospheres, we see not only chemistry, but our yearning for companionship. The mirror is both outer and inner. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the truth that curiosity defines you. Exhale gratitude for being part of a species that asks. Another thought rises. If Webb reflects our longing, then what else might our mirrors reveal not only about the sky, but about ourselves, about the ways we belong to the very universe we seek? Close your eyes and remember the beginning. The James Webb Space Telescope was launched with anticipation, folded carefully like a fragile gift. The world held its breath as mirrors unfolded, shields stretched, instruments cooled. For months, suspense hung in silence. And then, the first images arrived, galaxies blooming, nebulae glowing, time itself unfolding. With them came the question, quiet but insistent. What is the one thing we have been waiting for? Was it the first glimpse of early galaxies, so large and bright they defied our expectations? Was it the detection of water vapor on a distant world, hinting at conditions familiar and fragile? Was it the clarity of stars being born in veils of dust, or the sight of dying stars casting off shells of color? Each moment seemed like a contender, each discovery the one thing we had been waiting for. Breathe slowly. Inhale the gift of arrival. Exhale the humility of longing renewed. Perhaps the one thing is life. Since humanity first looked upward, the question has echoed, are we alone? Webb was built to help answer this, to read atmospheres for oxygen, methane, carbon, the breath of possibility. If one day such a signature is found, it will be history's turning point. The telescope may not see oceans or forests, but the chemistry of presence will be enough to know that life begins not once, but many times. That would be the one thing, the fulfillment of ancient wonder. Pause here. Let yourself imagine that day. A spectrum appears, lines aligned in a pattern too precise for geology alone. A signal of biology, distant and faint, but undeniable. In that moment, the universe becomes shared. The loneliness of our blue planet dissolves. The one thing, then, is connection. Or perhaps the one thing is origins. We have long sought to know where it all began. The first stars, the first galaxies, the first sparks of matter into form. Webb looks backward, billions of years, pressing toward cosmic dawn. To glimpse the earliest structures is to glimpse ourselves, for their light is our ancestry. The heavy elements forged in those first stars now run in our veins, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood. To trace origins is to discover kinship, to realize the universe is not backdrop but parent. Breathe again. Inhale the intimacy of beginnings. Exhale gratitude for being made of starlight. But perhaps the one thing is simpler still. Perhaps it is not proof of life or clarity of origins, but wonder itself. Each image Webb gives is already enough heart and science interwoven, mystery and knowledge side by side. The telescope does not only answer questions, it awakens awe. And awe is the deeper hunger, the one we often mistake for answers. Pause once more. Reflect on how often in your life the deepest satisfaction has not come from certainty, but from wonder restored. A sunset. These do not answer, but they fulfill. Webb offers the same. Not only data, but wonder. The one thing we have been waiting for, then, may not be a single discovery. It may be the reminder that the universe belongs to us, and we belong to it. That to ask is to belong, that to search is to be at home. The telescope reflects our curiosity, but it also anchors our place in the cosmos. We are not apart. We are part. Now imagine yourself standing beneath the night sky once more. Stars shine as they always have. Galaxies scatter faintly, unseen by your eyes. But you know, now, that Webb has revealed their depth, their histories, their surprises. You cannot see them directly, but you feel them as presence. The night has grown larger, richer, more intimate. You are no longer only under the sky, you are within it. Breathe slowly. Inhale the comfort of belonging. Exhale the peace of resting in wonder. The telescope will continue its work for years, sending back spectra, images, data. Each new result will ripple outward, sparking fresh questions, shaping new theories. But already, before all those discoveries, it has given us what we needed, a deeper connection, a sense of home in the vastness. The one thing is not an answer. It is a gift of perspective. Reflect for a moment on your own journey. How often has what you thought you were waiting for turned out to be something different, something subtler? You chase achievement, resolution, clarity. Yet what you receive is often belonging, humility, wonder. Webb's story is ours. We thought we waited for first galaxies, for signs of life. And we did. But what we received already, in every image, is the one thing beneath all things. ... Take another slow breath. Inhale awe as nourishment. Exhale awe as release. Perhaps the one thing is not even cosmic, but human. To work together across nations, to build something beyond individual lives. To trust in patience and vision. This is as much the gift as the images themselves. The telescope is a monument not only to science, but to collaboration, to what we can do when we reach beyond ourselves together. In that sense, Webb reflects not just the universe, but the best of us. Pause here. Let yourself rest in gratitude for that mirror, for the reminder that wonder is a shared endeavor. As this final chapter softens, you realize the question may never need to be answered with precision. The one thing we've been waiting for is not a single discovery, not a single line in a spectrum, not a single galaxy at dawn. It is the renewal of our wonder. It is the deepening of our belonging. It is the reflection of ourselves in the vastness we explore. One last, slow breath. Inhale the fullness of this gift. Exhale into the quiet of completion. And as you drift into silence, The thought lingers gently. The one thing we've been waiting for has already arrived, not in proof, not in certainty, but in the wonder you now carry within.